Hi, everybody. This is Jason,
This is Pete.
and this is the Lost Legions podcast. And what are we talking to everyone about today, Pete?
Today we're talking to everyone about the top 5, apparently, rules changes for the upcoming edition, as announced by Warhammer community themselves. So
I know they
top 5.
yeah, scooped our format. Like this is
top 5. So yeah, supposedly the top 5. I'm sure these won't be the top 5 when it actually comes about. But yeah, we wanted to review them and go through and give our thoughts and opinions on them as well. So super hyped for the new edition. Let's get into it. All right, so top 5 changes for the Saturday new edition. Let's have a little nosy then, shall we? Ooh.
yeah. So the first one is challenges. Yeah, and so Pete and I read this earlier, so just so we weren't like reading through with you guys, and I doesn't really say exactly what the difference is going to be, but you have some ideas. Did you want to kind of?
So yeah, I mean, it says here towards the in the middle here, when 2 of these figures meet in combat, heroic characters, it points out in particular, it should be an epic battle for the ages. So there are now a suite of options available for high level characters involved in challenges to outfight, outthink, and outmaneuver their opponent. So I wonder, Jay, if this is going to be. Do you reckon this is going to be like weapon fighting stances on certain weapons, perhaps, or is it going to be like maybe? Almost like mini reactions you can throw.
Yeah, I was wondering if it's
like a trump card almost, right? In reactions or something. I don't know.
I'm wondering if it's going to be an ability like that they have that they can use. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if it'll be kind of like Rights of War or something where you get, warlord traits where you get one ability you can pick from a list and then you use that ability.
Maybe
I don't know.
That doesn't seem like I almost think it should be maybe a handful of abilities that you get to. This is maybe a bit too much, but you get to like play close to your chest and like maybe not let your opponent know what you're going to do at the beginning of you have to like reveal like I'm going to parry with my axe rather than swing with my axe, and
so like a rock paper scissors is what you're wondering.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. That's too granular.
You parried, I full attacked, I headbutted.
Yeah. What do you think then? You reckon it's just a list of abilities that you get to choose, a bit like warlord traits? But I mean that's what we got.
I don't know. I mean, worst case scenario, it's a D6 chart that you have to roll to get a random ability.
Yeah, if it's random, that like if it's random at the point of combat, that would be just dreadful. You need to be issuing the challenge. You need to know what skill you're going to use. But I don't think you should know what your opponent is about to do. I think that's surely kind of the whole idea behind it, right?
Best guess. Yeah. My best guess, and this is completely a guess, based on nothing, guys, that's just my experience with GW. I bet you it'll be a random power that you pick from a list, and maybe your Legion or your console type will have certain powers available to them, and you can pick that, and you get one, and you can use that ability in combat. Total guess. What do you think?
What, and then named characters have their own pre-assigned ones?
Yes. Like Sigismund will have like kick you in the nuts or something.
Maybe, yeah.
But that doesn't sound very Sigismund. Stab you in the nuts?
Yeah. maybe warlord traits are going away, and then this is what is replacing warlord traits, perhaps?
I don't know, man. I have to say, from what I've seen, they're going with the infinity of school of thought here, which is why have one rule when 5 will do. So I bet you we're going to get... Yeah, I think we're going to get warlord traits and this.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, yeah. Put your answers in the comments below. We don't actually know, do we yet? So
no idea. It's fun to kind of suppose.
Yeah.
Let's get on to the...
I would like it to be you have 3 skills and you can choose which one you're going to do. Like, I don't know, something like that. But yeah, who knows? Anyway, on to the next. So the second top 5 changes to the rules. Now, this one, to be fair, will probably be pretty huge. Gathering your Legion. So army construction has been overhauled this edition. There are fewer limitations on your army composition, allowing you to build whatever thematic force is in your mind. This means you can build an army of jet bikes or dreadnoughts or whatever else takes your fancy. I want to do an army of these turrets, these arachne turrets and tarantulas. Just do. I want that. I think I joked on our previous video about I want a Rite of War where I just get all of them. Hey, I can with this now. So, yeah. Thoughts? What do you reckon?
Do you want me to go first? Do you want to go first? Because I have thoughts and feelings about
I think
this.
you can go first because I think your thoughts and feelings probably what a lot of the community will also be thinking. Personally,
so I think that this has the potential to be utter trash and super detrimental to the game. But let's not panic. It could be fine. I think list building is really fun. It's really integral. I think Rights of War made list building unique and fun and exciting, different for different legions, like what they could bring to the table. I think it completely shaped the game. And I think if it's just bring what you want, like it's really going to be detrimental to the game. And I think it's going to be really upsetting to a lot of the players. And I think people are not going to like it. And I think that Heresy community is going to be very upset. However, it does say that you get bonuses for bringing themed forces. I mean, it might not be as dark as I am afraid of reading these words.
yeah.
But like, what do you think? We could go back and forth and discuss this a little bit too.
Yeah, so I completely get that there's going to be some unit with some weapon loadout which is going to be super broken for whatever reason, and you're going to get that player that just buys nothing but those kits and just spams it, and then that's kind of it, right? That's going to happen. There's going to be all sorts of broken shit like that. However, if the game is built,
talk me into it. Go ahead. You're not doing a great job.
Well, this is where I think if the benefits are around scoring or around maybe even reactions, I'll come on to that in a bit more detail in a moment. But if there's different unlocks that you get for building a themed force in a good manner, or the manner that the game would like you ideally to have a balanced force, then I think it will be fine. Like if you can't win the game, if you can't even compete in playing the game by just having spam 100 melter guns or whatever, right? Then I don't think you're going to get too many people that will do it. You're still going to get the odd guy that does, but you're probably not going to choose to play that guy. And I imagine events will just say you have to take a list that meets these benefits requirements or what have you to make it still fun and enjoyable. That's what I think. I also think what you said about the Rights of War, making games list building fun and interesting, I agree. But there were so many Rights of War that are just useless or really restrictive and didn't work the way as intended. Look at Pride of Legion. It's been like you hardly see it, right? It's like the only way to take all Terminators, and you don't get enough line really with it. You get heavily restricted, don't you, on I think heavy supports as well, maybe fast attack. I can't remember now. So although I think the Rights of War have added the flavour, I don't think they've worked as intended in every circumstance. So I think it'll be nice for the people that do just want to run all Terminators to not be hindered potentially. Just depends how much of these
you say that, but like if your scoring example is correct, then it's even worse because I want to run all Terminators. Hey, guess what? I don't have a Rite of War now, so I can't score. But I guess I get to run all Terminators. Like
we're assuming scoring is going to work exactly the same, right? We just don't know. But yeah,
that's what I'm saying. We don't know. No. But like, and neither of this. This is why I can't be all doom and gloom about this. I don't think anyone should freak out. But I think this has the potential, in my opinion, to be really upsetting because I think Rights of War are really good. Now, I understand what you're saying, where like some of them don't work as intended or don't work as well as intended. But again, like that's something that should have been addressed by FAQs from the rules team, which they didn't. And
correct.
The Rights of War are from 1.0, and I think everybody that I know of has really genuinely liked them and made Heresy feel very unique, right? Because Rights of War were meant to let you take anything with restrictions. It was a give and take situation, so you just didn't have everybody spamming, like you said, like 100 guys with melta guns. which might not be a bad Raven Guard army. So,
Terrible.
Yeah, you say this now and wait until you show up and there's a guy with 100 Raven Guard 12 inches away from you, turn one, going boosh.
I think it'll be like, maybe if you take a Vigilator, it allows you to take like, or recon squads gain scoring or something, or recon squads gain X extra rule. I think it'll be a bit like that.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Which kind of
something
unlocks
like
a
that.
theme, at least, to then, which ultimately what Riot War is, isn't it? It's leading into a theme. I think it'll be something like that, but who knows?
That would be better, like, than I'm fearing, right? Like, I think that would be themey, right? Your Vigilator takes this. I mean, I think that is still restrictive in some ways. But like, I mean, I'm sure at some point from this text, there'll be an unbound version of the list. And
yeah, I completely get the concern. It's little things though, like building the list for this event that we've got coming up, the 3,000 point one. I would actually like to take an additional troops choice, but I can't because I'm maxed out, and I want as many Bolter Marines as possible. So I'm having to do something else, right? So, Charlotte
said nobody ever but Pete in a 1750 game. Just want that to say, if you've said that before in a 1750 game, put it below in the comments.
No, this is for the 3K game, for the 3K game next month, not the 1750. Jeez.
Bolter pigs.
Yeah.
Your army should just be called Bolter pigs.
Yeah, it basically is. Yeah. So like, yeah, I don't know, man. I can't. I think you're right. There is concern. We just don't know. Like anything, we just don't know. Concerned. Yes.
I'm glad that you're
optimistic with it.
Optimistic about it, and like I'm a little pessimistic about it. But like I am hopeful. And again, like. But like, kind of like you'd said, we don't know, and I don't think anyone should freak out about it. Just be aware, right? Be aware.
Yeah. But like, you can even in the current edition of the game, right? You can do a Fury of the Ancients list in any legion if you want to, and you will win every single game if you have 8 or 9 contemptors, more or less. You'll be very hard to beat, but you don't see it. You don't see it. Even at the beginning, like when there wasn't a ban on Fury of the Ancients at events, or like a minimum, like you have to only take so many, you still didn't have that big an issue with it. The same way, going off the topic a little bit here, but let's focus on Rites of War. What was that? The jet bike Rite of War for the Dark Angels in first edition. That was just all of the jet bikes all of the time.
Oh, the one that could go off the table and back on the table. I don't remember what it's called.
Oh, it was just I played against it a couple of times, but I think I saw it literally twice in 7-8 years or whatever. There's been ways to break the game. There always will be, and the players that are going to lean into that, they're just going to lean into it anyway. So I'm not too concerned. I think the majority of players, especially more narrative events, will stick to their theme and try and keep things a bit more tame.
What I'm more concerned about is I actually think that it keeps Rites of War keep the game themey, and I think it makes list building fun. So yes, I think you are correct. Pete, I think Pete's point is well taken. There are always lists that break the game, and there still are, right? Like there are game breaking lists, Fear of the Ancients, whatever. Anything that leans to one side too hard, like really can skew the game, especially if you have an all comers list. But yes, your point is taken. But yeah, I have my eye on this. I'm watching you, GW.
So that's that. This one's fun. So the tactical
this one is fun.
So there are more ways to control the battlefield than just killing your enemy. Tactical status is a new way to represent the debilitating effects of the more exotic weapons of the era, pinning enemy formations into place, breaking unit cohesion, and shattering the resolve of their warriors can all form part of your strategy. So we've gone away from just being pinned, essentially, to pinned, suppressed, stunned, and routed. So I'm curious, Jay. I have my opinion, and I want to tell you, and I've not actually asked you this, but what do you think? How do you think these 4 effects will be portrayed in the game?
You mean? Well, I mean they'll be portrayed by the icons that we see before us.
Sorry.
What do you think they're going to do?
How are they going to play out in the game? How are they going to be activated? How are they going to be?
So I think pinning is going to be very close to the same. I'll get back to suppressed in a second. Let me see. Stunned reflects a unit rendered insensible or stopped in its track by sheer force of an impact or explosion on a battlefield event. Okay, so stunned is going to be something that artillery does, I think, or missiles or explosions. So this is going to be, I'm guessing, sort of like a shell shock sort of mechanic. So we'll see how that would be my guess. Routed, I think, is just going to be our normal falling back mechanic. Like when someone fails a leadership role, I think it just has a title. And I don't think it's going to be much different. Suppressed is the one I wanted to ask you about because you played a lot of bolt action, and I believe that suppressed is a mechanic, and I don't know if necessarily this is the same. But this is a mechanic that works in bolt action, and I have a feeling that this is kind of lifted from that, especially because this says, let me read it. The suppressed status reflects a unit that is distracted or confused by heavy enemy fire, environmental effects, or psychological warfare. So this to me sounds like bolt action. So if you want to jump in and explain this, because I think you'd be the better one to talk about this.
Yes. So they're on a new edition on bolt action now. This isn't a bolt action podcast, but the I haven't played it for probably 2 years. I think, because I can't really remember, Jay, but I think it was each time you pin someone, you had a pin marker, and I think you stacked pin markers onto the enemy, and the more markers you put on them, the more harder it was for them to activate or move or shoot. It was harder to use your guys. I can't remember exactly what it was. It was something like that. You needed to roll some dice to activate. I think. I can't quite remember. But I think that's interesting. So you think these are different effects for different guns? Is that or different damage from different guns? Is that what you kind of think?
Yes. So I think. God, what do you think?
I don't think that's necessarily what this is. I think there will be a table, and depending on how badly you roll on the table or how badly you fail your leadership test or something along that way, will then mean whether you take a pin, suppressed, stunned, or routed marker. So I think it will be potentially similar to like maybe the vehicle damage effects table, something like that. Maybe.
Okay, so I'm riffing off your idea. So like we're going to talk about this in a second because there's advanced characteristics are next. So I guess I'm pulling this in a little early, but like if you let's just say you fail a leadership role and you go like you fall back or whatever, maybe now you do a cool roll because cool is one of the stats now. If you fail, maybe you get a suppressed token, and that suppressed token does something like in bolt action. This is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be a table. I think there's going to be a check. And then when you fail that check, you're going to gain one of these markers. That's my guess.
So I think slightly differently. I think the cool roll will be used for taking leadership checks as we do now from enemy fire. I think leadership will be used now for whenever you need to make like some sort of command check or something for your force. Maybe to rally troops. It'll be something like that, I think. And I think, like, let's say it was a.
I'm not sure we're disagreeing with that.
No, okay. Our brains are like, not quite on the same, but I think we're saying the same thing. I think it'll be like you've been pinned. You know how what's the rule now we have? Where you do more pinning damage. You take a pinning.
Shell shocked.
Shell
shocked is one, and yeah.
So
shell shocked.
So I think it'll be like, pinned is like shell shock 0, suppressed is like shell shock 1, stunned shell shock 2, routed shell shock 3, or something along those lines. Does that make any sense? Like, I think the more heavily affected you are, the more likely you're there. Because routed is the worst there. You have to run back, right?
My only argument to this is there's going to be, we've seen the tokens for these, and that's what makes me think that they're all different effects. And we have some of these in the game right now, and I think the pinned mechanic works pretty well.
Oh, I think they're all different effects. That's what I'm saying. But I think the worse you fail the check, because they get progressed. Look at the pinned one. The pinned status reflects a unit that has been forced to take cover in the face of overwhelming firepower or the sudden crack of a sniper's rifle. So that might mean you can't make reactions this turn. Suppressed is basically the same, but that might mean that you can only make snapshots in your next turn, for example. Stunned might mean that you can't move and only make snapshots, and routed means you need to run backwards and still make snapshots. That's what. Who I'm guessing, but I think.
Yeah, no,
I'm thinking.
Like
who knows? We don't literally.
I think pinned is going to be pinned. Suppressed is going to have some minus to you. Stunned is again going to be something like pinned, where you can't react or do something. Routed is going to be running away. So this is my guess, guys. What do you guys think each one's going to be?
Yeah.
Put the comments in, because I mean, again, this is just best guess, and from what we're reading.
I guess what the difference is you're saying these are 4 individual effects. I'm saying that they are 4 individual effects too, but I think they are progressively worse. The more it takes damage from the effect.
I think you're going to be able to be pinned, suppressed, stunned, and routed. I think you're going to be able to. Yeah, I think it's going to be all 4. I think what you say is a nicer version of what's about to happen.
That's answers on a postcard. All right. Number 4. Is this number 4? Yeah. Advanced characteristics. Okay, so we briefly just touched on this, but we're getting now. So here's I'm sure everyone's seen this by now, but just to review it. So we've got the standard stat line at the top there, with the additional stat line at the bottom of leadership, cool, willpower, and intelligence, I believe. They go on to give examples here. So as you can see, this legionary has 7s in all the new stats. You test
this made me laugh.
Exactly the same.
Yeah. I just have to interrupt you for this. It made me laugh because they're like, here's these 4 cool new stats, and guess what? They're all the same in this guy. He might as well just have leadership, because what does it matter?
They have the standard guy and show that he is just level, but then have a veteran next to him or something else, right?
Yes, 100%. Sorry to interrupt you, but it literally made me laugh out loud when I saw that this was the example. I was like, what the fuck?
So they go on to say a tech for all has a cool of 12 because they're not easy to rattle, because they're just robots, I guess. But everything else is 4s. So they're not intelligent, their willpower's non-existent, and they aren't charismatic, right, with their leadership. So you can see how this is going to work. But I don't know when they'll be taking these tests. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. So what, they'll be very... Willpower will be like your ability to not succumb to spells and shit, right? So
they do mention somewhere else, I'm not sure if it was here, is that
maybe it was on the video.
Intelligence will be a tech marine thing or something.
Here we go.
Yeah, right there. Yeah.
A Legion Psyker might have very high willpower, while a tech adept or communication specialist will have high intelligence. Yeah, okay.
Which is cool. I think that's really cool, actually.
Yeah. I'm excited. I quite like. Yeah, I think we agree that this is hopefully only going to be positive, provided it just doesn't actually makes a difference to the game. If it doesn't do anything, then they're leaning into just stuff for no reason, right?
If everything's just like this legionary, and you might as well have leadership instead of this. Yeah,
I would like to see not the examples of a flat legionary and then a tech thrall, which is on the opposite end of the spectrum. Just let's have slight nuances on display, but equally we're going to get it hopefully soon enough when they release the edition.
At least they talked about the tech thrall, right? I think that it would have been better, like you said, side by side, and then it would have been nice to see a legionary and then a veteran legionary to kind of see the slight differences. Maybe they have a higher leadership, a higher willpower, but the same cool. I don't know, whatever. I don't know what it'll be, but that would be interesting. I understand why they did the legionary. I just think it's a kind of bad example because it's all 7s. So yeah, that was my only I had a good laugh about that.
Yeah, fair enough. And then lastly, the 5th most rated change that they're the top 5 changes of the 5 changes that they've told us about. That's basically it. So, yep, is the weapons being reworked, which again is obviously going to be a big change. So, well, I think there's kind of a lot going on here without actually that much going on, isn't there? What do you think? Let's talk about the ranged weapons first, Jay. What do you make of the stat line? Anything jumping out at you that's particularly interesting?
So I'm not 100% in with the abbreviations yet, but like I think like
R is range,
yeah.
FP is firepower, FP, number of shots, yeah. RS, I'm not range strength, I think. Yeah, range strength. Yeah, and then AP armor piercing, and then D is damage.
I mean, I think it's cool. I think I read somewhere or someone said there was a comment maybe this would change tanks versus like shooting things at guys, but I don't see a difference right now with range strength. I mean, I think this is once you get used to reading this, I think this will be easier because there'll be less special rules, I'm guessing, like rapid fire or like, you know, multi-shot kind of things. Like it'll be easier because you'd be like, okay, I simply know my range is 12. I get to fire once or twice, and you know, the strength is this. So, but I wonder if there's something to show the difference between penetrating armor and penetrating dudes.
Yeah, I wonder, man. I don't actually care if it's wounds or hull points, and I don't care if it's armor value or toughness as such. I care about armor facing or your orientation of your vehicle, depending how strong or weak it is. That's what I like, right? So if a vehicle, let's say a Rhino, is toughness 7 or 8, something, it's toughness 7 maybe. Who knows? But it's toughness 6 on the rear, for example, right? Like that would be fine. I would prefer it to work like that, as long as there is differences for different sides of the different faces of the vehicle, right?
So I think you're changing my thought. Like you're bringing in a whole new thing.
Oh,
Do you think that armor values are going away?
Oh, so I thought that's what you were alluding to, right?
No. I was thinking that there would be 2 different stats, like an armor piercing stat.
Oh, right.
And then a range strength. Okay, so like just for example, I thought AP is against armor in this, but I'm saying I thought there would be a range strength versus vehicles and a range strength versus dudes. And
right.
Because I think Legion, their Apocalypse version, had that, and it worked really well, and they didn't need to like rebalance weapons and stuff. Like las cannons didn't work as well against dudes because I think it was just inherently harder to hit them. So they were better against vehicles. So that's what I thought these changes were at first. But I don't see anything showing me that shooting against vehicles with a bolt pistol is different. It's just showing me range strength 4. So I don't know like what the deal is. To me, this just looks like a different version of what we already have with a damage stat thrown in. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're right. It is the only thing that's added there is the damage, right? Which that's the newest thing, really.
Firepower stat is new, but like it's also just, I think,
it's just a rework of number of shots, isn't it? So instead of pistol 1, it's firepower now is 1.
Yeah. Which is fine. Like
the special rules pistol will clearly mean it counts as a combat weapon in close combat or something, I imagine.
It has these traits, assault and bolt.
Bolt is a new one, which we don't know. Maybe that'll be a pinning type thing or something. That'd be cool.
It might just be. Well, it just might be like the Imperial Fists like get a thing with like a bonus with all bolt weapons, and this is a bolt weapon that has that trait.
Oh, you're completely right. Because just guessing that, looking at the melee weapons beneath, that's a power weapon, right? So you'll you'll have a special rule for power weapons. Yeah, okay. I think it's gonna against vehicles. I think we're gonna look at wounds. I really do. I think it's gonna go wounds. But as long as they make it easier to damage vehicles from certain angles, as they can be now. Unlike the land raiders are 14 all round, fine. Keep that effectively the same. Weird. I'm not sure. And then maybe there's, I don't know, the vehicle damage chart. Oh, I want to see that. I want to see what that looks like. But
I like armor values. I hope they keep armor values.
I reckon they're gone personally. But yeah,
it's not the worst thing in the world. But like, I think it makes vehicles feel more unique and more, I don't know, just tougher. I mean, they become very like super tough until they're not, and then they just insta die. So like, they already do have hit points, right? So damage, hull points work as hit points. So
yeah,
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do. I have less strong feelings about this. I'm like 60-40. I like armor value more.
Yeah, fair enough.
I like dreadnoughts a lot more how they are now without armor value. But with tanks, I think I'd rather just have them stay as they are. But I think I see what you're saying. Maybe this does mean they are changing over to a all toughness. We'll see. What do you think of the fist? Let's jump down and talk about that really quick, because I think this has some interesting things in it.
Yeah, so go through the titles again, the little sections here. So IM is initiative modifier, which is awesome, by the way. AM, attack modifier. SM, strength modifier. AP, armor penetration. And D, damage again. So straight away, the fact that we got the initiative modifier, I think that's so good. That's been needed in this game. It shouldn't... I mean, there have been some weapons, haven't they? Like the... is it the Death Guard Scythe strikes at like -1 initiative or something? Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I think one of the Space Wolf weapons does too.
There's been little bits of it, but this is going to obviously be now across the entire weapon list. It's a dedicated stat, which is awesome. So, for example, I think we talked about it on episode maybe a few weeks back, Jay, about like why would you ever take a Power Fist over a Thunderhammer? Well, that might be a reason then to take.
Yeah.
If a Thunderhammer swings slower, for example, then yeah, sure, go for it. So that's cool. What do you think?
I think the initiative modifier is going to be really fun. The attack modifier is just for ease. I think that's fine. Like, so I bet how lightning claws now have +1 attack when they're paired, right? So it's +2 total. Yeah. I think that's all they've done is broken this down and put it into a stat, so it's easy for everyone to see. So I think that it's good. Like the attack modifier stat's great. The initiative modifier is amazing. I think that like we were stuck basically before with mainly strikes last and strikes initiative. Like for the most part, there were 1 or 2 weapons, like Pete said, that had a -1 modifier. But like most of the things, like axes, I always felt like, why would an axe be as slow as a power fist? I felt like the axe should not be. Maybe the axe would be -1 initiative or something, but it never was. Now you can have that like granularity with weapons, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and the A on the attack modifier just means base stat line attacks of that model wielding that weapon, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Just to clarify, if everyone's looking at it thinking, huh? What does A mean?
The discussion I wanted to bring up with you, I guess the one I want to end on, unless you have something else to bring up, is that the strength modifier and the damage actually indicate something to me. Is that I think instant death is gone.
Agreed.
And because now the strength modifier is going to be more important for attacking vehicles, either it be armor penetration or toughness. And this thing, the Saturnine Disruption Fist, which would be probably close to a Power Fist, I'm guessing, is not double your strength. It is +2 strength. Yeah. So you're going to have a 6 strength as a legionary. It's AP 2, which I think that's going to work the same, but damage 3. And there we go. That's what makes me think we're not going to have instant death anymore, because if your Praetor is still 3 wounds, this is going to kill him. What do you think?
I completely agree. Yeah, entirely. I think, that's it makes sense. It's getting rid of all of those janky rules. It's tidying up all the special rules, really, and just into profiles, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think you're right. It means also they can play around more easily with super high strength weapons, but just deal 1 damage. Low strength weapons that deal lots of damage if they wanted to. You know, like a poison blade or something. I don't know, just mess around with stuff, right? Yeah, I like it. And you could do it with the rule set, of course you could, but it was so key every time you're building a list, right? What is strength 8? Because I just need to double out opponents.
100%. Yeah.
Which, you know, now it'd be like maybe, well, what is D3? Because that'll be the same, but hopefully it opens up into a different arrangement of weapons, really, I guess.
I think now you could have a.
I was just gonna say I like the damage stat being added. I think it makes a lot of sense.
I think, like we were talking about before, like a Thunderhammer and a Power Fist now, which were always very similar, with just a couple slight things, could be totally different and both be valid now, which is really, really cool. I think that is.
I completely agree. So you imagine this was a Paragon Blade we were looking at here. So it might be initiative base, attacks base, strength modifier +1, AP2, D3, right?
Yeah.
So you lose instant death. But if you'd injured a Dreadnought in 2nd edition with a Paragon Blade, it doesn't suffer the instant death. It suffers D3 wounds, right?
Yeah.
So you now so then when you roll a 1 or 2 and you're like, oh, I've just done 1 wound off that Dreadnought. Well, that wouldn't be the case now. You're just always doing those 3 wounds. So you land 2 attacks, 6 wound Dreadnought, go on if it fails those 2 saves, right?
Well, and like this Saturnine Disruption Fist could be like we could be looking at a Power Fist, except a Saturnine Disruption Fist is a guaranteed 3 damage.
I think you're right.
So so a Power Fist could be this with a D3 damage. Like, so the Saturnine Disruption Fist is really good because it's a guaranteed 3 damage, and like that's cool.
Potentially,
like,
yeah. Maybe a Power Fist is just damage 2.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Oh, it's fun to guess, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's getting me excited.
Really cool.
And that's kind of that then. So yeah, let us know what your thoughts are. We've been for obviously a little bit there. We don't want to go into too much detail. We're trying to keep these podcasts short and sweet as we're running into nearly 40 minutes. So thanks for watching. Anything else you want to add, Jay?
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out. I went out with Will, had lunch. We talked about heresy, and wanted to give a shout out to our favorite podcast, The Merchant Princelings. You guys should give them a listen. They didn't get included in our YouTube roundup because, guys, where's your YouTube channel?
Yeah, that's quite literally it. We love you, Tom, Charles, and Will.
But you are our favorite podcast, and we love all you guys. Yeah. So we expect a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So
we'll pop them in the show notes. A link to their Spotify show. Epic.
Cool, guys.
See you next one.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.